Hey there, this video is about the Prompter People Pocket Q V2 teleprompter. It's a fairly small, very inexpensive, and very versatile teleprompter. So I will be talking about this one in particular, but I also want to share my thoughts about how I use a teleprompter on a regular basis because it is so useful. So big disclaimer up front here. Prompter People did provide me with both the Pocket Q V2 and the teleprompter that I use on almost a daily basis. But of course, they didn't pay me anything to make this video. They don't see this video before it goes up, and the opinion about everything in this video is definitely my own. So besides being small and fairly inexpensive, as I said, the best thing about this is how versatile it is. So I have all these bits and bobs here, which I'll show you how they all work and how you can set this up for a lot of different configurations. So right now with this configuration is that I have a mirrorless camera on the back here. So I have my Canon R5C. This is about the max size you could probably put on this. I wouldn't probably go much bigger than this, but any mirrorless camera would definitely work. And this plate over here, this piece that holds the camera on you can swap this out. So for example, you can put this piece on there and mount a cell phone, which I will show you a little bit later. In terms of the actual teleprompter part up here, this is a really clever design because it has magnets. So the sides just lift up like this. And if you lift them up, you can easily slide the glass out like this. So you can get it out for transport or for cleaning. Also on the back, you can swap out this plate here. This is the one that's attached to the sleeve for a mirrorless camera, but you can swap that out for this guy here, which is for the cell phone, which I'll talk about a little bit later too. So on the front, there's a lot of different options. This right here is a monitor that you can plug your computer into. And this is what I generally do on a regular basis. So what you're seeing here is my larger teleprompter that lives in my studio. And this screen that it's projected onto the teleprompter is connected to my computer. So you can hook up whatever you want to it. And it's super flexible. So this is what lives in my studio all the time. And this allows me to do a lot of different things. So like you can see here, you can use notes on here if you just have I use the Apple Notes app. You could also use the included software from Prompter People that acts more like a teleprompter and you can scroll. I personally don't script my videos, so for me, the Notes app is great. But the other cool thing with this is that you can use this for literally whatever you want. And I use this for a lot of different situations. If you are live streaming, for example, this is super great because you can see everything that's going on while you're live streaming. You can continue to make eye contact with the camera. Now, on a smaller screen like this one here, it's a little bit more challenging because it's just a little bit smaller. But one thing that's nice is if you're doing like a Zoom call or a business meeting or something like that, when you are looking into the lens, you're also looking at the person that you're talking to. So you've probably seen a lot of business meetings or calls or whatever you're on, or if you're doing an interview or a podcast, you want to be looking at the camera. That's the best thing because then the person you're talking to, it looks like you're actually talking to them. And when you're recording something, so for example, when I do my podcast, I do with my buddy Brandon, I put FaceTime on my computer, and then when I'm looking at Brandon while I'm talking, I'm actually looking into the lens. So when I record it, then it looks like I'm looking into the camera, so it looks really natural. I've seen so many podcasts and stuff where someone's looking off to the side and talking because they're looking at the person that they're talking to. So I'd much rather look right into the lens. So a lot of different flexibility there. This monitor is optional. There's a couple different things you can put on the front here. This one, probably the easiest way to do this is it has an HDMI input, so you can plug this, right into your computer, and it acts as an extra screen, super easy to use. But you can swap this out for other stuff. For example, this here is a cell phone mount, and I'll show you this in a second. So you can mount your phone in there, so you could still use it for FaceTiming or any of those sorts of video calls, and you can also use the Prompter People's script reading app in there as well. So let me swap that out and I'll show you what that looks like. So I got the phone mounted in here. And like I said before, you can use their script reading app, or you could also just use FaceTime or whatever you want to do. You can use anything on your phone. It gets projected as you can see on the screen here. So I can then start my script here. And while I'm looking right into it, you can see it reading, you can change the speed, all that stuff. It's just a really easy application to use. You can just copy in whatever document you want, or you can type right into it. It's pretty easy, and you can pause it. And again, pretty simple to work. This is great for yourself. I could also see this being really useful for if you have clients that are having to read stuff to the camera, then you could bring this little guy with you on set and set it up, and it'd be a huge help for your talent, and they'll be really appreciative that they don't have to memorize everything. So it's really, really handy that you can just put a phone in there. And like I said, also you can get a tablet holder for this too, if you'd rather have a tablet with a little bigger screen and all the functionality you get with a tablet. So a lot of different options for the front side of it. All right, so I often shoot with a mirrorless camera, but let's say you want to use a phone. super easy to do. Let me show you how this works. So we're gonna take out our R5C here. Then the next thing I'm gonna do is swap out this here, which I mentioned earlier. So we just lift up with the magnets here. We slide out this back plate or whatever it's called. We put in the cell phone one. There's 2 orientations depending on how you need to mount your phone. Very customizable. We slide this in, and then what we need to do is take off this plate in the back here where the camera usually mounts to. It comes with this one, which is very customizable too, depending on what you need to do. This is gonna hold the phone. So we drop this in here. And one thing you can do here is you can adjust the height as well to get it where you need to, but that'll be after you get the phone in. Now with the phone mount, it comes with this little thing that mounts to the camera on the back. So we just clip this on, and you wanna make sure that you get it on the right camera or the right lens that you wanna use. And then this pops in over here. And just gotta make sure everything's lined up. So I need to move this over a little bit. And then it's a little bit low, so I'm just gonna raise it up and tighten it down. And now I have a phone hooked up in my teleprompter, and super easy to do. So whatever you wanna film with, it's pretty easy to switch it around once you get everything configured. And like I said, everything's adjustable so you can get all the heights and positioning and stuff dialed in. Another cool thing that prompter people throw into this kit is this L bracket here. And what this allows you to do is turn the whole teleprompter 90 degrees, so now you can easily shoot vertical content. So you got your vertical content going on here, you still have a teleprompter you can use for all the same stuff you had before, FaceTiming, web calls, running your script on there, all that kind of stuff. So you can see the versatility, you can flip this on its side, use it for vertical content, super handy in a lot of different situations. So this is my final configuration, and this is what I personally prefer because it emulates what I use in the studio all the time. And I did show you that earlier, but this allows me the most flexibility and allows me to do my job the quickest and the most accurately as well. So let me talk you through this setup here. So I got my mirrorless camera here, of course my teleprompter with the monitor. This is connected to my laptop, so I can run a script or my notes or like all the stuff I've been saying before because it's connected to my computer with HDMI into this, super easy to do. And the other thing is this monitor here. This is what they call a talent monitor. A lot of people call it a confidence monitor. It's great because if you are filming yourself, you can see yourself. And a lot of times, if you've ever used a teleprompter, you can't see the screen on the camera. So, you do have the flip out screen on the side here, but it's kind of hard to see when you're looking at through the teleprompter. It's also smaller. This is what allows you to make sure that you are framing yourself properly, that things are in focus, the exposure, that kind of stuff. And it's also, I like mounting it here, which is I think what they recommend as well, because then when you are looking into the teleprompter and talking to the camera, you can easily glance down and see what's going on. This can be a little bit distracting if you're filming other people. It may or may not. Some people may like it because they can see what they're doing, what they look like, those sorts of things. This is an additional accessory if you like to pick this up. But again, like I said before, this is what I use on my setup down here. So I have my confidence monitor down there below. And basically this setup here emulates that. So really, really cool, and just a ton of flexibility. I don't know, I can do a lot of work with this. It's really cool to have a portable version of my big setup. And there's one last piece here that's been sitting on my desk, and this does one other cool thing, so let me show you that. So that last piece that I showed you screws into the bottom of the teleprompter bracket, and this is really cool because it accepts a baby pin. So you can put this on a light stand or anything that you want to mount that to. And then the camera can actually be separate and mounted on a tripod. So this would actually allow you to use larger cameras, those sorts of things. If you want to mount that on its own tripod, it comes with this baby pin adapter and you can mount this on whatever you want. So as you can see, this little teleprompter is super versatile. You can use it in a lot of different situations. And I absolutely love that as a videographer and as a content creator. But what are my complaints about this? I just have one basically. And that's the orientation of where the monitor mounts to the teleprompter frame and how that works, because it's not quite aligned with the mirrored screen. And you might be able to see this, but the bezel here where it says prompter people is too high. And so basically what you're seeing on the mirrored screen isn't centered on the monitor. And this is something that I'm sure they could fix in a future design or whatever, because on my bigger setup here, the monitor actually slides slightly underneath the screen. And so it's much more centered on there. And there's no other way to push this back or move this forward. So That's about it. But otherwise, really cool product. I really want to have a big thank you to Prompter people for sending this out to test out and share with all of you. There are links down below for this product, and I'll link to their website too. They have a lot of other cool products. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.